Welcome back for another season, another show, as we grab our boards and swim out into that ever-swelling sales pipeline with the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man of the future, Matt Hines.
How are we doing, Paul?
It's 2018. I'm trying to give you a big build-up here.
Happy New Year. It's amazing. It's 2018. This is episode 99 of Sales Pipeline Radio. We are on the precipice of triple-digit episodes of Sales Pipeline Radio.
On the edge of big things happening. I can feel it.
Well, big things have already been happening, Paul. It's we're day 4 of 2018. I hope everyone listening is off to a strong start to the new year. If you're listening to us live on the Sales Lead Management on the Funnel Media Network, thanks very much for listening. If you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you very much for subscribing. You can check out every one of our episodes moving forward. You can subscribe at Google Play and the iTunes Store, and every episode, past, present, future, available always at salespipelines.radio.com. We are featuring every week experts and best practices in B2B sales and marketing, mostly featuring experts in the field who are doing the work, and today is no exception. I am really excited to feature today and to join us on Sales Pipeline Radio, Jen Spencer. She is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at SmartBug Media. She is a well-known person in the B2B marketing space. Speaker, a board member at Girls in Tech Phoenix, has just done a ton of great stuff. Jen, thanks so much for joining us here today on Sales Pipeline Radio.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So there literally are dozens of topics we can cover. We only have a finite amount of time, but we of course need to start with a quick discussion of the Denver Broncos. The season has ended. The Broncos maybe didn't have quite the season they wanted to. It looks like they're going to retain their coach into next year. What's your feeling exiting this season and looking at 2018 for the Broncos?
So just so you know, about halfway through the season, my entire household was basically wishing them to lose more games to improve our draft picks for the next season. So it's a rebuilding. I'm hopeful. Hey, I've helped start companies from scratch. So I've seen things in worse shape than the Broncos.
Yeah, it's as a Seahawks fan up here in Seattle, first time missing the playoffs in like 5 years or so. You would think that the sky was falling, right? And I think you look at other teams like my dad's a diehard Bears fan. I'm like, listen, clearly it could be worse, right? Hey, let's talk a little B2B sales and marketing. You are now running marketing at SmartBug Media. I know you guys get significantly into inbound marketing, digital strategy. Tell me a little more about, you guys spend a lot of time talking about this concept of intelligent inbound. Let's talk about what inbound marketing is and what you mean to differentiate that, or how you differentiate that in terms of intelligent inbound.
Sure, I'd absolutely love to. So when most people think about inbound marketing, they think, all right, I'm going to write blogs, I'm going to conduct webinars, I'm going to put content set out there that hopefully is aligned to a particular buyer persona that is within your ideal customer profile. And those people are going to be attracted to me, and then they're going to convert on my site, and they're going to become leads, and then we're going to close a lot of business, and, beautiful, right? Yep. The thing is that's great for attracting visitors, but there's more that has to be done, and there's more that can be done to enhance that entire process. And that's why we've established this term intelligent inbound, because it's more than just doing the research and crafting a strategy to attract leads and to nurture leads. It also involves the handoff between marketing and sales through sales enablement strategies to ensure that that new visitor that's coming into you has a good experience that's cohesive and consistent with how they've been interacting with you online. It could include ensuring that your website is not just designed beautifully, but that it's optimized for your particular buyer's journey. And one organization's buyer journey is going to be completely different from somebody else's. And so that's why, you might see, oh, hey, here's a great, template that I can buy for $100 somewhere in a marketplace. It's going to look nice, and I might get the job done, but it's not intelligent and it's not customized specifically for your business. Like, in addition to that, public relations is completely changing the way that it fits within inbound. And we're just seeing a lot of really cool ways that we can layer PR with inbound marketing practices to really help scale business and focus your energy in the right places that are actually generating leads and sales for you.
So there's a period of time in B2B marketing. I feel like we go in these waves where, we're looking for some kind of a silver bullet that's going to fix all of our problems. And there was a period of time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, when all of a sudden, HubSpot really kind of created this inbound movement, and everyone said, wow, we can create content, we can win the Google wars, and we can just get all the right business to come from us. And it seemed like after a while there was, I don't know if it was a backlash, but then people started to say, well, this isn't working the way I want. I'm not getting the quantity or quality of leads that I want. And, I know you've been a proponent in the past, and you previously worked at a company called Allbound, and I use that term a lot, not in terms of the company name, but just thinking about having the right mix of inbound and outbound. That there probably isn't a one-size-fits-all. Like, I like your description of intelligent inbound, but I don't know many successful companies that are purely using one or the other. How should most companies think about integrating sort of, push versus pull marketing to hit their number?
It's going to come down to that individual strategy for that company, right? So I was just talking to someone earlier today who it needs to have a very account-based approach to his organization because he's identified there's a finite group of potential businesses that he's selling to, and he's competing, for that attention. So you can leverage some of the inbound techniques, but apply also some account-based strategies that are allowing outbound to not just be just, hey, let's grab a phone book and just start dialing, right? Like, let's actually be thoughtful about this and develop a list and then develop campaigns so we can reach out to those individuals. But I think that the key is knowing, okay, who do you sell to, understanding your market fit, and what's going to be a best practice for one organization is not necessarily going to be a best practice for another, which is why even the term best practice is a little bit frustrating, honestly, right? So because it's just going to depend on that particular business, that sales cycle, how you sell, who you sell to, what the buyer cares about. The biggest thing is making sure that there's consistency and there's not an inbound approach, an outbound approach, an account-based marketing approach. It's not. It's one plan. It's one plan, and you're going to use different tools, and you're going to pull different levers at different times in a buyer's journey and based off of your market, depending on what you need.
Yeah, well, amen to that. I think I was going to ask the question next, what's the connective tissue between all these efforts? And I think that having a consistent message is really important. We did some research earlier this year around integrated marketing and found that the integrated message across channels is a huge differentiator in driving marketing results versus working in silos. Even if you have great strategies in silos, when you can't leverage the effect across channels, it just doesn't work as well. We're talking to Jen Spencer today. She is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at SmartBug Media. Want to talk also about the panel we were on at Dreamforce just a couple of months ago. We were on the topic of revenue enablement for the entire go-to-market team. And I don't know who came up with this topic, but I think we hear a lot about sales enablement. Revenue enablement, does that move it in a different direction? Does that imply something different when you think about, and you talked about this a little before in terms of integrating not just the marketing efforts, but making sure that the marketing and sales handoff is done well? How important is sales and revenue enablement today, and where do you see that in the priority list for B2B marketers as we sort of accelerate into 2018?
I think this idea of revenue and focusing on revenue enablement, it's meaning a lot especially to SaaS organizations or anyone really in a subscription type of economy, because as buyers we have more choices than we've ever had before, right? So I am constantly inundated with messages and things that I may want to buy, and everything that I scroll through in my Instagram profile is like particularly chosen for me and what have you, right? So we have to be on the top of our game as far as that goes. And so it means making sure we're not just focusing our energies on top-of-funnel acquisition of leads, which is where the majority of organizations spend their dollars, both for marketing and sales. It's making sure that sales, of course, is enabled effectively to communicate and collaborate with those buyers, so that they understand them and they understand the journey that they've been on to get there, right? So we want to make sure we have transparency between what marketing campaigns are occurring and what those individuals are consuming before that salesperson gets on the phone and talks to that individual. But further than that, your customer success team or client services team that's ultimately going to be working with that customer, and that person needs to be enabled and supported as well. So they can't just be this kind of like catch-all, one-size-fits-all for everybody in that entire ecosystem. So that's going to be important for creating evangelism, helping spread great word of mouth for your company and for your product, serving as a referral base for you, serving as a reference base for you, and then keeping them as ongoing customers. And that even then extends into your product development team. You know, as your organization is expanding on its offerings, how are you implementing feedback that's coming in all throughout the entire customer lifecycle journey, and not just creating something in a vacuum and then hoping that it's going to meet the need of one of your customers?
So let's dig into that just a little bit, because I think, you know, a lot of companies are sort of realizing, you know, the impact sales enablement can have, realizing that it could be a very strong marketing function. And I think a lot of companies are saying, wow, this all sounds great. This sounds like a great thing. How do you operationalize this, or how do you even start to operationalize this? I think a lot of marketers are struggling to get some momentum with the team and to get even their feet on the ground, coordinated with the sales organization on some of the key elements of sales enablement. What have you seen work well in the market? Like, what are companies doing that are getting them to step one of sales enablement execution?
I think to get people to kind of step one of sales enablement execution and having everyone be on board is to take a customer-centric approach to your business. And you really have to do it. You can't just say you're doing it and then go about your business and do everything the way you've always done it. You have to start there. So there's far too many organizations we see where the concept of like a buyer persona or that ideal customer profile, where that lives and dies within the walls of the marketing department. So that needs to not happen. There needs to be the voice of the customer in organizations, and some companies are literally doing that. I've seen organizations who actually have an employee on staff whose job is to solely be the voice of the customer in meetings. And so people are going to lengths such as that to ensure that that's the beginning of everything that you do, and it's the North Star that we were focusing on. So that's one thing. But I think that marketing teams who feel like, wait, you know, how do I actually get some momentum going? What do I do? I think what they need to do is be humanizing their personas. Be openly talking about their personas. I mean, I had a really great opportunity at Allbound specifically because we were new, we were young, and I could come in and say, okay, our personas are Sean. This is who Sean is. He's the VP of Sales. Abby, she's a partner program manager. This is what she cares about. And I was able to talk about these individuals, and I got their names and their personalities ingrained in the product team, in the customer success team, in the executive team. So we were talking about these people as if they were actually there with us. If you're in a bigger organization, obviously that's going to be much more challenging. And that's where in those larger organizations, there's actually somebody who is responsible for being that, like I said, voice of the customer. That's where everything has to start. And then anything that you're doing, whether it's a campaign, some kind of a sales strategy, it's your onboarding process for a new customer, you've got to look at it through the lens of that customer. And that's really where enablement's going to be most effective.
Absolutely. Well, sage advice from Jen Spencer joining us today on Sales Pipeline Radio. She's the VP of Sales and Marketing at SmartBug Media and has spent a ton of time in the B2B space, getting a lot of experience and insights on both the sales and the marketing side. We got to take a quick break here, pay some bills. We'll be back with a lot more with Jen Spencer. We're going to talk more about revenue enablement. We're going to talk about girls in tech. We're going to talk about Scotch. We're going to talk about twin teenage boys. All of the above before the top of the hour. This is Sales Pipeline Radio.
In a world where the speed of innovation and change in B2B marketing has never been greater, the only thing bigger is the need for clarity, for a blueprint, for a guide to what's really working. And how about a way to apply it specifically today to increase sales pipeline growth, velocity, and most of all, conversion? That's what you'll find in the Modern Marketer's Field Guide. And amazingly, you can download it for free. HeinzMarketing.com, just like it sounds, HeinzMarketing. It encompasses the entire sales and marketing cycle, but in quick bursts with lots of specific, actionable ideas, strategies, tactics you can put to work right away, like today. The loaded table of contents helps you narrow in and tackle a problem. And it's something you can come back to over and over again as a reference guide. Why not download your free copy of the Modern Marketer's Field Guide? It's free. HeinzMarketing.com, just like it sounds. HEINZ Marketing.com. All right, back to Matt Heinz, who definitely has my ears perked when he says you can talk about girls in tech and scotch. That just sounds too exotic here. I don't know if I can.
And twin teenage boys,
wow.
Which I don't think is physically. Well, it's probably physically possible. I don't know. I've got.
I don't know how you handle that.
At different ages.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I need advice.
I don't know how you handle any of those things, but you probably need scotch to handle all those things. Yeah.
No, these things are very clearly. I imagine these things are related. We're going to find out here shortly. Well, thanks again for joining us on Sales Pipeline Radio. Hope you're enjoying our conversation today with Jen Spencer, covering a variety of topics related to B2B sales and marketing and not. If you like what you hear, you're going to love some of our future episodes as we head into January, the rest of January into 2018. Got some great guests lined up. Next week, we're going to have Alex Terry. He's the CEO of Conversica. We're going to be talking about the power of AI in sales specifically and what AI and machine learning are doing to create greater efficiency in the sales organization. Following week, we're going to have Lauren Patrick. Her title is Chief Storyteller for a top company called Terminus in Atlanta. We're going to talk about the power and impact of storytelling in B2B and how important it is at every stage of the buying journey. Lots of great guests coming up in future episodes. We're going to have a great start to the year for Sales Pipeline Radio. We want to get back to talking to Jen, and I guess maybe let's start, Jen. Is the scotch related to managing twin teenage boys? I mean, is there a connection there? Are those separate? I think Paul made a good point there, but maybe talk a little bit about one or the other or both.
My boys they're pretty darn good. No, I blame my parents and my I guess step grandfather for my scotch addiction. So I blame my parents because when I was an infant and I was teething, apparently they would take a Q-tip and dip it in scotch and put it on my gums to numb my gums. So I do believe that that my parents have been grooming me for my love of scotch for quite a while. And then when I was in college, I used to have dinner about once a week with my stepmom's sister, so my aunt. And they're Italian, and their father, he's was Italian, and we had amazing dinners. But every night before we had dinner, he would always drink scotch and water, scotch and soda. And so an old man taught me how to drink.
I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, no, we got Paul literally has a bottle of Glenlivet 12-year in his studio producing us. I can tell there's some days when I think he's already dipped into it already by the time we get to our show here on Sales Pipeline Radio on the Lead Management Network. But hey, nothing like a good scotch. And I think on your bio, I love that you write that you're a mother of twin teenage boys, which means there's likely a lone dirty sock in every room of the house. Our kids are younger; they're 8, 6, and 4. But no, I feel that it's a combination of lonely, dirty socks and Legos that you find everywhere around the house. Before we get right back to a few more questions on B2B sales and marketing, I do want to give you a chance to talk about Girls in Tech. You are on the board of the Phoenix chapter of Girls in Tech. Talk a little bit about what that group is and why that's important to you.
Oh, I'd love to. So Girls in Tech, we're a global nonprofit, and the focus of the organization is on engagement, education, and empowerment of girls and women who are passionate about technology. And there are chapters all across the world. That we have one in Phoenix specifically. So we serve two different segments. So one would be girls ages 10 to 17 who have shown an interest in technology and want to explore that and learn more. And then we also focus more on professionals professional women who are already either active in a technology role or working in a technology, related industry or would like to. So what I love about Girls in Tech Phoenix and why I joined is I really hate when there's just a lot of complaining and there's not a lot of doing. I'm a doer. So what I love about our mission as a chapter specifically is we're looking to move the needle, right? We're looking to say, okay, how many technology-focused jobs were held by females in 2016, and what can we do to change that number to make an impact in 2018, in 2020, and so on? And how can we use our own community to help? So that's what we're really focused on, and I co-chair the marketing committee for that.
I love it. I love it. Thanks very much. Where can people learn more about Girls in Tech if they want to learn more, about the program overall as well as in their market?
girlsintech.org.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, it's a great conversation today on many fronts with Jen Spencer. She's the VP of Sales and Marketing at SmartBug Media. Jen, you've been in B2B marketing for quite a while, worked in a number of different organizations. What are the things that you, whether it's with Girls in Tech or with others that you talk to that are sort of starting their career in B2B, what are the things that you wish you knew when you were getting started? What are the things that you would recommend people early in their career focus on or pay attention to?
So I didn't have a traditional kind of career advancement of being that I got a business degree or a marketing degree and then got right into marketing. I actually started my career as a high school English and theater arts teacher, which I swear I use that. I use those skills every day, and then transitioned into marketing via none other than nonprofit professional theater. So I was running sales and marketing for a professional theater company, and that was an amazing opportunity for me to learn. And there wasn't a lot of money, and I was extremely underpaid, but by all means. But there's always a lot of work to learn. There's people who are willing to teach you. It's a lot of sink or swim, and I built up my skill base. So my advice would be, regardless of what industry you're in, wherever you are, or especially when you're early in your career, think less about your salary. Think more about where do I have the opportunity to grow, not just where can I grow within this company, because people don't just work for the same company for 20 years anymore, right? So Think about what skills can I add to my own repertoire. How can I, play and tinker and grow myself and figure out kind of what I want to be when I grow up. And I just take that approach into any job I take to the point of I'm still trying to figure out what the heck I want to be when I grow up. But I think it's done really well for me by doing that.
So last question before we let you go. We know you're crazy busy. I really appreciate you taking time to join us on Sales Pipeline Radio today. Who are some of the specific people that you've learned from? They can be, people in your career, mentors. They can be people that you've read. We hear Zig Ziglar, for example, quite a bit in this answer. But, who are some of the people that would be on your Mount Rushmore of sales, so to speak, that you would recommend other people might pay attention to as well?
Oh, man. Okay, so I think from a overall sales management perspective, I think that anything that Mark Robert says is just beautiful and has really helped me as I've worked on building out teams from scratch. So he's been phenomenal. I've got to do a hat tip to my own founder and CEO of SmartBug, Ryan Malone. I've known him for about 4 years. I knew him before I came to work here. And I think he's been, just an exceptional leader in really focusing on the bigger picture of what you're looking to achieve. So he's taught me to focus less on maybe a very specific minute metric in a vacuum and looking at things from above and looking at bigger goals. And then this is definitely more marketing focused, but the person who has my ear right now is Jay Akunzo. And his podcast, Unthinkable, which every time I listen to it makes me want to be better at what I do. So those are the three I got for you.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to thank Jen Spencer for joining us on Sales Pipeline Radio today. If you want to learn more about Jen, I'd encourage you to check her out at LinkedIn. She's at linkedin.com/in/Jen Spencer. Join us next week as we go in another episode of Sales Pipeline Radio. As always, we will continue to have great guests related to sales and marketing best practices. You can check out all future, past, and present episodes at salespipelineradio.com. We are running out of time. For my great producer, Paul, this is Matt Hines. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week. Sales Pipeline Radio.
You've been flying high on the Sales Pipeline Radio. One of the many shows brought to you on the Funnel Radio Network for at-work listeners like you.